Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi to everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of the New Islam. And before we get started, I'd like to say Assalamu alaikum to my brother Hussam. How's it going, brother?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And yes, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, everything's great. And we can't wait to get into the episode with everybody together.
Absolutely. And yeah, so on this channel called the New Islam, what we like to do is uncover some of the mysteries and divine knowledge of the Mahdi and what he has brought to the people, which divine knowledge is one of the things that's mentioned that he's going to bring. All the way since the time of Adam, we've only had 2 letters of knowledge revealed to us, and he is actually going to come and unveil the remaining 25 letters of knowledge to mankind and enlighten us. So on the previous 2 episodes, we've been talking a bit more about the ego and how to enlighten and become better, because a lot of Muslims today, they believe this is the month of Ramadan. Although we believe it is in December, we feel like, still enlightening people and still giving people some divine knowledge during this time. So yeah, we've been discussing the topic of the ego and how there are 2 soldiers at work within all of us. You have the good wolf and you have the bad wolf. And the very interesting thing is today's society actually teaches us to feed that bad wolf that's within us. And what we've been discussing is, how can we do the complete opposite and feed that good wolf, just like the prophets and messengers have wanted us to do, in order for us to enlighten and become closer to God?
Yes, and I think this is a concept that exists and resonates through the religions of God. So when you go to not only Islam, where it talks about the fighting against yourself and the self that is like a blaming self, which blames others for everything except for self. There is a self that is mentioned in the Quran as such. And there is also al-nafs al-ammaratu bis-su', the self that demands and commands evil or doing wrongdoing. There is the nafs al-mutma'inna, the peaceful self or the reassured self. There is all kinds of selves that are mentioned in the Quran and in the hadith. As well as if you go to, for example, we know that the story of the good wolf, bad wolf is originated with Jesus Christ. So That's Christianity for you. And even if you go to Hinduism, you will find something very interesting there as well. But it's like called the divine nature versus the demonic nature. It's considered divine and demonic, right? So what happens there is like you'll find fearlessness, compassion, self-restraint, truthfulness, peacefulness, which are literally the soldiers mentioned in Islam as the soldiers of light or the soldiers of the mind, versus anger, pride, greed, cruelty, hypocrisy. These are the soldiers of darkness. Literally, they go 1-to-1 as in Hinduism as well. And so we see that, and as we know, like Hinduism, Islam, and all these different religions, actually, like they unite under the same structure of the, you can say, the beginning, or this universe or this creation itself, or the beginning of creation. They define the same thing. They talk about God and Brahman and all that kind of stuff. And we spoke about that in different episodes. So I think that's like one of the cool kind of interesting connections as well, where we can find in these 2 religions, or the 3 religions that they're the biggest religions in the world today.
Yeah, and it's the kind of the same concept for most of the religions that you look at. They always have a concept of fighting bad and promoting goodness. And that's why the message of the Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam is so beautiful, because it comes to unite all of the religions and brings out the little truths that are in all of them that all connect. Because every single religion at the end of the day was brought by God. And it's just the misguided scholars who have misled people and actually brought falsehood upon the people in today's age. And the Mahdis came to uncover all of that.
Yeah, and I think this is the idea that Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, since today is the day where the people who are Muslims, God bless them, and inshallah, and the Christians and everybody, since Muslims are praying and fasting in the month of Ramadan, which again, we do not believe the month of Ramadan is today, but either way, you are in a spiritual state. You are trying to get closer to God. So we decided to go through this route of actually showing the people what the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, what family Muhammad, what Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam has taught us about these things. We've talked about the definitions of the soldiers of mind versus ignorance, the wolf, bad wolf, good wolf. What should you do? The Prophet ﷺ actually commanded that we have to fight against ourselves. We have to, because our self is selfish. It wants only for itself. While the religions of the world, all of them, whether true or not, they demand selflessness.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's the disease anyway. It's the disease that every person who wakes up and does any sort of meditation whatsoever, they recognize there is a disease in humanity. There is a psychological disease that manifests in this physical realm as selfishness, as me first. This ideology of me first is the ideology of ignorance. It is the Jahiliyyah. It is the Quraysh. It is the scholars that wanted to crucify Jesus. It is the scholars that stood against Moses. It is the Satan who stood against Adam. This is what it is. It's our disease, and the disease existed with us from the beginning of humanity almost.
Exactly, and that's why selfishness is so bad, because it inherently makes you go against other people, right? If you're selfish, you don't have any care for anybody else, and that's why we have to practice the opposite, which is selflessness.
Yeah, and you'll find even this concept exists in Buddhism and in the forms of different, like you can say, states of mind, because they say mind exceeds or precedes all of the states of mind. So the states of mind are something that came after the mind itself. That's what they think. So, for example, loving kindness, or which they say that a lot, this concept of loving kindness. Love that is kindness,
Yeah, exactly.
You can imagine, and which is the opposite of it is the hatred. So they do have these concepts as well of good wolf, good self, bad self. Also, like lots of monks, for example, if you talk to them, they will talk about the monkey mind. They tell you should silence the monkey mind. You should just let the monkey mind do its thing and actually just sit down and observe it. And that's how you catch it. You don't catch a monkey by chasing after it. It's very agile, right? And it can climb trees faster than you can, Exactly. So technically speaking, you cannot catch this monkey mind by the traditional means, which was like chase after it. You will catch it if you stay calm, they say. You stay calm and you stay collected, and you sit down and you follow the good states of mind. This loving kindness, this compassion, this mindfulness, this generosity. Because when you practice generosity, what is going to happen? You're going to give it food. You're going to tame this beast, this wild beast that we have inside of us. All of us have this beast. It's like Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam said that, but obviously, he said something very interesting. What he said like in Socrates, for example, also says something very interesting about this topic. And Abu Sadiq kind of introduced that to us. He said that if you read for Socrates, you will find him also doing the same thing, where he's talking about the three states or the three beings, the inside of us, for example. He says there is the Hydra, or the beast, the monster, the concept, the archetype of a monster. We have that inside of all of us. The modern day psychology calls it the shadow. Or our shadow.
Yes. Absolutely.
You can call it that as well. Whatever it is, the language that you're pointing towards, that primordial evil or that dark force that is attracted and boils boils in happiness doing evil things. That part of our part, the Socrates says about it, it is the Hydra that has many heads. The more you cut, the more another head pops. If you cut greed, maybe arrogance pops,
Exactly.
Cut that, maybe envy, Get that, maybe something else comes. So there it's the beast with a lot of heads that you have to cut all of its heads in order for you to actually even get close to winning, the surviving. Because what is against that beast is a lion. What is the enemy of that beast is a lion. The lion represents the good attributes, right? You have the king of the jungle. He's honor. He is rank. He is social status, right?
Exactly.
He is that that
Power.
kingdom, yeah,
Yeah.
power, strength, something that is a home,
Exactly.
right? Territory.
Yeah, exactly.
know?
Yeah.
So he represents the lion in Socrates' mind. It represents that good ego, or that other side, or that godly nature or divine nature.
Mm.
It's that sustainer, that container, that defender. So from there, he goes on to say, and then there is the human. So there is the hydra, the lion, and the human. And the soul would be considered by Socrates the human. And by the way, did you know that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wasalam actually said that we are the humans and the rest are the human likes? Like they mentioned that in the
They are the
narrations.
only true humans.
We are the nas and the rest is nisnas, So a nas is like people, or we are the people to a degree. But translating words are a bit iffy here and there. But it is the same. It is that soul that you carry within your chest, if you do have one, right?
Yeah.
If you do have one, then that light is from the family of the Prophet, or that original source, or that that gratefulness, or that gratitude, because Muhammad is gratitude.
All those good attributes.
Exactly, and Muhammad is an attribute itself as a name. Muhammad, the one who is great, like who receives like great. For example, when you praise someone, praiseworthy.
Praised one.
Yeah, exactly, praised one. So the names of Muhammad, al-Mustafa, the chosen one, right? All of them are attributes. And when you look into the family of Muhammad, we're not talking about a physical form, because the physical may come and go, but praiseworthy, exactly. And so we're not talking about the thing that comes and goes. This body is like a vessel that comes and dies. It knows it's going to die at some point, no matter what. That's why the evil Hydra wants to be gluttonous. That's why it wants to go around doing whatever it can to grab as much as it can in this world while it's alive, and enjoy whatever it wants for itself, and it doesn't care about the rest. Let the rest burn. Let the world burn. It doesn't care.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you see in the world today. That's why the world is in such a bad state. Like I mentioned earlier, in all of society, that's what's preached to all of us. Put me first. It's my ideals, my goals, above everybody else. And that's the complete opposite of what we actually need to do in order to enlighten.
In order
reality for real.
Yeah, and in order for us to actually survive and bring a heaven on earth, we have to be selfless. We have to
100%.
fight against this thing, or at least within us, because the Imam alayhi salatu wasalam said it is the divine justice state that we're trying to build, and we talk about day and night. And for those who join us right now without knowing that about what we mean, hopefully you can go to our website and you can download the booklet. It's a small booklet called the Mahdi's Manifesto. The Mahdi's Manifesto is about 23 pages long in English, and you'll be able to download it in different languages as well. It is like an epic tell, which is literally just the proofs for why we need a king, and then what is the king going to actually spread? What is the mission of the divinely appointed king? Is it like like the rest of these kings who are out in the world? No, of course not. He comes to spread justice in the land. Justice is only spread by allowing everybody to be ruled by the rules that they believe in. Say, if you're a Muslim, we want to build a state where you can live under Islamic kind of teaching, under the Quran, the teachings and the commands of the Quran. We want you in the same time, we don't want you to enforce the rules of Muslims and the Sharia law on the Christians. It doesn't make sense, and you cannot mix those two together in the same environment. And like you can make environments where they can go meet each other or work with one another. That's fine, but to live with one another will be like a disaster.
Exactly.
You'll be teaching your kids something that you don't agree with, they don't agree with, and they'll be doing the same, and suddenly civil war happens. And that's a complete disaster. So what Abu Sadiq is offering everybody the ability to actually live up to their expectation, to their expected way of life by God, which has given you whatever you believe in, right? If you believe in Christianity, then Christian law. If you believe in Judaism, then Judaic law. If you believe in Islam, then Islamic law. If you're an Ahmadi religion of peace and light, then it's Ahmadi religion of peace and light, the seventh covenant law. That's justice.
Exactly.
For everybody, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, there is no compulsion in religion. You don't compulse people. And that is the divine justice state, which will allow us to actually, all of us, to rise against our egos.
Exactly. And that's the fascinating thing, because a lot of people, they have the message and the goal of the Mahdi misconstrued. Right? They think he's going to be a warmonger that's going to come and spread war against every other religion except for Islam. But that's not the reality of the matter. What the Mahdi is coming with is, like we mentioned yesterday, he is coming for all of humanity and for us to be more selfless. And that's the most important thing that a lot of people have to understand, is the call that we're calling to is selflessness, wanting better for everybody and wanting the whole world to be a place where people have their bare necessities met, right? We are not feeding our egos and trying to become better than everybody else. It's one of those things that is very interesting, because a lot of people have the mission of the Mahdi misconstrued in many, many ways.
Yeah.
They really do.
Exactly. I think that's really the idea, and that's where we come into play. And if you guys have any questions about the call of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, or about the Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam in both Shia and Islam, and what is the true understanding of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam, then we're at your service, and you can call us and reach out to us whenever you want, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for now, we'll continue talking about this. Basically, yes, they don't know, they misconstrued, but why do they misconstrue the matter of the Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam? Like, why do you think that the people are misconstruing the matter of the Mahdi?
There's a few reasons. One of the reasons will be the misguiding scholars. And another reason is obviously their ego getting in the way of them actually accepting the message that he's bringing. Because a lot of people, obviously, when they see their religion, they're like, no, I'm right. My religion is right. My way is right. But when you have somebody coming in saying, no, everybody is correct in their own way. Everybody has a messenger that was sent to them. Some people can't let go of that. They're like, I have to be right and everybody else is wrong. And that's the ego part of them that people need to let go of.
Yes, exactly. And I think this is for sure one thing that we should work together to get over, which is the non-working scholar following, for sure. People debate day and night online, and lately it's been happening a lot more on social media, where people debate: do we need scholars to interpret religion? Do we need which scholar should we follow? Why do scholars disagree between each other? Lately it's been discussed quite a lot since we've kind of been on the scene. This topic was not actually, in the beginning, was not actually discussed until we kind of came to the scene, and Abu Sadiq started to talk about it. And then people are curious and they come and listen to Abu Sadiq, and we see with our own eyes, literally, people like Gnostic people coming out right now after Abu Sadiq has revealed certain knowledge, and they start to use the same knowledge, and they take it as if it's theirs, and we don't mind, because in the end they spread truth, knowledge, true knowledge, and in the end, automatically any mindful person who actually loves the truth, they will find out in the end that you need a king who's appointed by God.
100%.
And there has to be a way of identifying that king, which is going to be difficult on the self, because yourself is going to want your king to be you. Exactly. It will want you to be that king. It will want you to be that special main character of the video game.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Anybody who's in any sect today, that's exactly what they want, is for them to be that main special group that's correct, that the divinely appointed king comes for. That's the main issue, 100%.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody gets the chance. We believe in Ahmadi religion of peace and light. At some point, you will get a chance for sure, because we believe in reincarnation. We believe God is great and God is eternal, and there is no end to our life. If you believe that you will die, as in spiritually, as in your soul, then you have not understood that the soul doesn't die, and you're identifying yourself with something which is not actually truly you, because we are not speaking to the Hydra.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hydra is our job with the Hydra is to take it down. We're not also speaking to the good ego. Because the good ego is knowingly, it identifies like, all right, look, in order for me to win, I need that inspiration. I need this, because there is solution here. I can stand for the solutions that are being given here. I have to have divine inspiration. I believe in God. You know, the good lion is not a disbeliever, right?
Yeah.
It's a believer. It just needs to submit now.
Exactly.
And it needs to submit to the will of God. The will of God, which is a higher frequency. Imagine it to be. It has to be. The will of God has to manifest somehow. And we believe that the will of God manifests through a man who is appointed by God in every age and every time. Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, we believe him to be that man. And we believe him to be that man because one is the way he walks in this land, not how he walks physically, but the way he is leaving a thread of history, which if you follow, you'll find nothing more than amazing.
Exactly.
Like literally no prophet, by the way, no prophet messenger was ever, like we see their history in as much as Abu Sadiq. Since his childhood, since his young adulthood, yes? Teenage years. And he was mind-blowing people with knowledge and information and revelations. Wallahi, if you follow Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam's history, you'll find the arrivals, you'll find tads. And guess what? I hope one day we get to hear all the stories before that too.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What led to that? You know, because these are stories that I feel like people who love Abu Sadiq would love to hear. You know, and I think this is so fascinating. If he has like, can you imagine now, like how many millions of people have actually benefited from the works of Abu Sadiq even before he even knew that he was even a Mahdi. And he was not even in his head. It was not even in his head thinking about it. That's my king. That is my king. My king is Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. He is a man who's so honorable. He's the most honorable of all of us that we know. There is none more honorable than Abu Sadiq. There is none more upright than he is. There is not one who works harder than him. And this is by the testimony of hundreds of people who have lived with him, seen him, lived around him for years. The man from morning to night, till 1, 2, 3 in the morning. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and even for the people that have not been able to live with him or see him, as soon as you watch any of his videos and see what he's actually calling people to, it's undeniable that it's something.
On top of that, yeah,
100%.
On tens. And like it actually reminds me of the scholars when they came here. You know, like these, you can say the scholars of studies of new religions, which came from Harvard and you know different universities around the world. It's the University of Chicago and different universities around the world. When they came into the community and they came to meet Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, they were actually shocked. They were actually blown away because of his humbleness. They expected a man who's gonna come and he's gonna like be like the normal fake scholars or fake kind of like Mahdi claimers. But he was so down to earth and he was so humble, and he had his wife with him, you know, peace be upon them all. And he, you know, they were talking so casually, and they were like, and they were shocked because Abu Sadiq knew the names of everybody in the community. He would name them by name, like this is so and so from this is so and so. He named all of them, one by one. They were shocked, literally, from everybody. Everybody, he knows everybody here, and he knows people outside. This is the kind of man that we follow, not like this. I mean, give me an alternative that is better than this, because there is none. You don't have any. You don't have an alternative. Who's your alternative? Your sheikh in the jami'? Who's your alternative? Tell me, like, who? Muhammad bin Salman? That's your alternative? People are living under him. We can see with our own eyes that by God, if Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam rules a land, if you give him that land that he's asking for the refugees,
there will never be a single poor or hungry person.
And you will not have to deal with that problem anymore, because the refugee land is an amazing, brilliant, genius idea. Genius idea. Like, it's a genius idea. And the man has people. We have his back. We will support him. And you know that we are peace, we are people of peace and light, and we want to support everybody's spiritual journey as we are right now sitting here discussing these matters that are very spiritual. And did you see the connection that we have that Abba Sadiq has made for us? Socrates, Buddha, Hinduism, Islam, the whole world, literally the whole world. Abba Sadiq is making us universal beings. He's taken our racism that is built inside of our bodies because of culture, because these borders that people put on top of us, these fake lines that I don't know who drew. Do you know who draws these culture? Who knows? Who knows? Who of you knows? Who of you know? Maybe like a small percentage of people know who's actually doing that, right? But it's Abba Sadiq is freeing people from brainwashing that they don't have anything to do with it. He's freeing us from our brainwashing. That's what he's doing for us. He's freeing us from the ego. He's freeing us from these attachments and these fake identities that were placed around us and on top of us and painted over us and over our goggles since we're children. Imagine like you're born as a child, completely, absolutely, everything is amazing, everything is good, all good, it's all good, and then starts to paint.
Exactly.
That's when that moment you start being painted as a child. Your perspective on the world start to be painted, and a layer after a layer after a layer after a layer. And you grow and you go to university, layers, and you graduate, layers, and you get married, layers. Wars, another layer.
Exactly.
So Sadiq is actually returning us to, he's telling us, think with me. Let me help you. Help me against, no, he says what? He says, help me, help you.
You, 100%.
Help me, because those who watch Abba Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam's lectures, we know one thing. Whether you like it or not, this man doesn't need anybody, Like he honestly doesn't need anybody. He could easily go around right now, yes, leave everything and go in a forest somewhere like a king. And by the way, I would be the first to be happily supporting his way of life. You understand? Because I believe in him, yeah? So he doesn't need to do any of what he's doing right now. Place himself in danger and like do all kinds of stuff. And it's not necessary for somebody. If people call him a liar or charlatan, whatever, hasha, exalted is he from such evil thinking at all. Like it's absolute filth to think that way about him, And yet, he could live like what they're explaining or thinking in their heads or see in their heads. Everything that they could imagine Abba Sadiq could be living it right now. But he's not that. He's not what is in your head. Abba Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam is the divinely appointed king who has come to free us from our own shackles that were placed by Satan on top of us. The shackle of the ego. He is the fire of God. You want to be free from your ego, you have to burn. That's the only way. You burn by submitting. You burn by jumping into the fire. If you believe in Abba Sadiq and you're still sitting down, not knowing why am I doing, or you don't know why your day is flying, you don't know what's happening in your day. Focus. Abbas, your Imam is here. Your father is here. Come to him.
Yeah, and if people were to focus and actually view things for what they really are, they'll come to the conclusion that it's these false governments, these scholars, these tyrants, all of these people that are in charge today that are the ones that have caused all of this, terror and built up all of this ego inside of people. And when you look at Abba Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he's coming with the complete opposite. It's a very interesting thing because the state of the world today and what we are in is built up by all of these false governments, all of these scholars, and people need to actually open their eyes and see, hey, I'm not happy. The world is in a terrible place. Who is the one that put me in this position right here? Yeah. And it's all these false scholars and leaders and tyrants and all these false governments that have built up the ego inside of people to the point where now it's almost impossible for them to actually see beyond the veil that's actually been put in front of their eyes, which is leading us to world destruction right now, the state of the world.
We see that with our own eyes. I mean, it's not something that we have to like shout out off the rooftops. You know, we don't need to do what we used to have to do in the times of the arrivals and tads.
Yeah.
You know, have you imagined like Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam came and spoke about these things, you know, in the arrivals and tads. But that was so long ago, in fact, that people at that time were still like thinking that anybody who speaks about these things is wearing a foil hat. You know? You
Yeah.
know, they're in a basement somewhere and they're like hiding and they're like afraid of shadows.
Exactly.
Now it's vice versa, actually.
Exactly. So it's not just enough for people to come and say they believe in Abu Sadiq. They also have to disbelieve in all of these false tyrants as well. That's the main battle that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Is you can believe in Abu Sadiq, but in order to do that, you also have to disbelieve in all of these false tyrants.
Disbelieve in yourself, too.
Exactly.
You know, as in your ego. As in, yeah, I'm great. Or you think that you have even a slightest bit of greatness. There is no greatness in any of us. Greatness is in God. If you want to be of the greats, you have to die. That's the philosopher's stone predicament, right? Those who want it, they cannot want it. You know, it's a predicament. It's okay. God says, "You want me?" You go like, "Yeah." He says, "But I'm a fire." You know, and you go like, "But I still want you." He says, "Do you know what happens to the fly that loves the fire?"
Yeah.
You know, you know, it burns.
Yep.
But then again, you ask the question: does that fly never feel the fire burning? Why does it continue going? Why doesn't it stop and turn? Why doesn't it change trajectory? They're fast, you know?
Yeah.
That's because they're in love. So it's a fire that you have to love God so much more than your own existence, so much more than your own thoughts and your own imaginations and your own programming and brainwashing, and you have to like really love God so much that nothing can be a line. Nothing is a line. And that's what Abraham learned. That's what Isaac learned. That's what the prophets and messengers learned. In their journey with God, they cannot have a line. They cannot have but I have to take care of my fish. What about if I leave? I mean, who's going to take care of my fish? Well, the Imam is here to take care of all the fish of the world. What about my horse? Because the Imam is coming for all the animals of the world. What about my mom? He's taking care of all the mothers of the world. He's trying to give them what you want to give to your parents. What about every time you say, what about, the Imam wants better than that? Because he's from Allah and he's not interested in self-interest. He's interested in people. By God, every time we see Abu Sadiq happy, it is because the people are happy. And when he's sad, it's because the people are going through something. It's not because, like, what makes him happy is the people happiness. This is a fact that we see with our own two eyes. You know, it's like for the past years, when you ask him what makes you happy, I just want everybody happy.
Exactly. And that's something that God actually put in us as human beings. Is our happiness is in seeing other people happy.
Exactly.
That's why a lot of times you see a lot of rich people. They have all the money in the world, all the cars, all the houses, anything they want, but they're still sad and depressed. And that's why you see so many of these celebrities committing suicide.
Exactly.
You see so many of these rich people who have all the material wealth, all the physical, accumulation. They have so much accumulated in this physical world, but you still see all of these rich people committing suicide. Yet you go to poor countries and you see individuals who have absolutely nothing, but yet they're the most happiest of people. They're the most welcoming of people.
More generous too.
Exactly. And that just shows the reality of what we really are and what makes us happy and what's our true purpose on this earth.
Yeah.
It's to help others.
If you want.
And it's a very, very interesting thing that most people don't think about, because it's truly your happiness, and you being happy is seeing your brother happy, seeing your sister happy, seeing another human being happy is true happiness. And until people actually realize that, we're never going to get out of this state that the world is in right now. And it's a very, very interesting thing that God did.
Yeah.
Right? That a lot of people don't really think about.
It's a
Once
secret.
you do think about that, you'll break that seal of selfishness.
Sadiq did say that the secret to happiness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hid happiness, human happiness, in the hearts of people. So if you want to reach happiness, if somebody goes to the Buddha and says, I want to be happy, how can I be happy? He says, remove the question, remove the I, remove the can, and you're just happy. But the Imam alayhi salatu wasalam says, which is true to a degree, remove the I, then you will not have selfishness, right? It's selfless. If you're selfless, you're always doing acts for people. Therefore, you will be happy, because the secret of happiness is in fact in the hearts, hidden in the hearts of other people.
That's why it's so fascinating when you look at the state of the world, because it's literally the complete opposite that we're taught as kids. As somebody that came from the West, it's what we're taught as kids is to put yourself first, me first. And it's such an interesting thing, because that's why the level of depression across the world is so high.
Yeah.
Suicide rates.
They don't know how to heal it. They don't know how to
Suicide rates are going up. It's a fascinating
If it's a psychological disease, as Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam said, if these psychologists, psychiatrists, if they are actually a science, why don't they heal anything?
Exactly.
It's really an honest question. Why do they not heal anything? They just say, and they label every single thing as a psychological problem. And the only solution they have is like, here is something to numb you down. Like, here's numbing agents. That's what they have. They're experts at narcotics,
And it seems like what's causing a lot of these psychological issues is selfishness.
Yeah.
Feeding yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. And so that's the problem that we have here today is like, people are chasing after by the millions people who don't even know how to solve their problems. The same psychiatrist, if you go to his life, he's probably having like lots of psychological damage, himself. And so when you ask the very good question, who did they heal? And they'll tell you no one. There is no cure to anything. While Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam is curing people. People are coming in sick and they're coming out. Whether you think it's a psychological thing or not, keep that to yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Keep your opinion, because your opinion did not heal anyone. Ours does. Our Abu Sadiq has healed the people. He's brought the people back from the dead. Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam has done that. We have it recorded. We have it documented. We have eyewitness testimonies from people who don't even believe in Abu Sadiq. Doctors who don't even believe in Abu Sadiq. They're shocked. They don't know what happened. They have no idea. Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam is the one who goes into a old lady who's needing dialysis. He enters into her room. They're freaking out. They cannot do dialysis because her heart rate is up to the roof. He goes and he does something. He prays. He does something. Comes out. The woman doesn't even need dialysis anymore. You explain that to me. This is documented. So what do we do? Do we follow the man who's actually like come here to save us and to actually teach us about what the ego is and how it's leading humanity to complete and utter destruction? It's leading us. Do you not see with your own eyes the flood that is coming? Do you not see that? And if you see that, does your body not feel it coming? Because at any moment now, all of this fake illusion of safety that people have is so collapsing. It's going to collapse overnight. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You might be drafted tomorrow. You might be taken out to the war, and you don't even know where you are. You're like, how did I get here? I was just studying in my library. That's the problem. You have to wake up, because something big is happening and brewing in the world today. You can see it today. If you want politics, go to the news agencies. Watch what's happening. Watch what's happening. America wants Greenland.
Yep.
That's step
On
number
a daily
one.
basis, you're seeing the alliances of America and Europe break down.
Yeah,
It's something that's very evident.
it's evident. I mean, this is news. He's saying we're gonna take Greenland, whether in one way or another. So just join us anyway. And that's it. That's a grab. That's a prophecy. The prophecy of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wasalam said in the end times, whoever is capable of something, they just do it. Whoever's strong enough to do something, they just do it.
It's all about power.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that's literally what's happening today. You have Russia grabbing. You have America grabbing. Watch China grabs. Watch Iraq grabs. Watch Iran is going to grab. Watch what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be grabbing. It's starting. It's happening already. It's happened. And as we said before, every country in this world almost is in war, whether directly or indirectly. Therefore, now what we're saying, what we just said, every country is on fire. It's just some of them is very big and some of them is just igniting. And it's just like a small fire. And it's going to grow to be a big, giant fire sooner or later.
Yeah, and the sad part is that people, the ones that are going to suffer are the general masses, just the everyday people. And that's why we're calling people to actually wake up and see the people that they should blame are the ones that they have chosen by their own hands to put into power. God has appointed a divinely appointed king at every point of time on the earth. And what have people done? They have went against that individual. And now today we are at a point where it's irreversible. And the only ones to blame are going to be the ones who actually pick these individuals with their own hands. And we have somebody today who's coming with the pill, with the medicine for all of this. And what we're calling people to is to wake up and actually come and take this medicine so you can be saved from what people have done with their own hands. It's a very, very sad reality that we are going into. And all we're calling people to is just to wake up. Put humanity first. Go back to what the prophets and messengers have all been teaching us since the beginning of time. To love each other and actually build a world where nobody has to suffer for their bare necessities, right? Nobody has to suffer for food, for water, and for shelter. And when you see the state of, the governments and the tyrants that are in power today, it's the complete opposite. They're telling you don't care about anybody else as long as you're good. And as long as we sit back and we allow these individuals to stay in power, the same thing is going to keep happening until the inevitable happens. And that's exactly what we see coming. So for anybody watching, we're just asking people to wake up and see the call that we are calling to. It's a call of peace. It's a call of goodness. It's a call of humanity first. And it's a call of helping the human race, because we all know what's going on. Like it's, you can't, it's not like you're living under a rock. That's as they say, right? You've got to be living under a rock to not see the state of the world and where it's actually headed to today. Abba Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, his call is so beautiful, right? For anybody who is out there who's going against Abba Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam's call, this is what I've got to say. You are saying you're against humanity first. Yeah. You're against unity. Exactly. You're against helping refugees. You're against stopping hunger, suffering. So really sit back and think about what you truly believe in if you're going against this call. What other call is there on the earth today that is calling to this? None. This is the only call on the face of the earth. And by Allah, He will have victory, because this is something that was promised by all the prophets and messengers. And if you want a piece of the victory, just wake up and investigate. See what we are calling to. As you can hear, every day we come on these lives, we tell people we're only calling to stop the suffering of mankind.
And if you're not going to do it, we will. We will help. Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam will be there for him. We'll do whatever it takes in order for us to build the divine just state, and then you can join as a citizen, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, later on. But thank you so much, brother. It was an amazing episode.
Absolutely. It's always an honor, brother.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much. God be pleased with all of you. And inshallah, you can join us on another episode tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.